April the 27th. For details, tickets, or donations, please visit parksideedc.org. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Okay, I won't deny it. Half the time you send a text, yep, you know I'm not replying. Just to let you know I'm not one of them you be dodging. I'm the one that you dodge with. I'm the one that you gon' take that dress you're saving out the closet. I'm the one you need alone. I'm the one that when you're around your friends that you gotta put on speakerphone, just so you could let them know what we be on. Like he the one. Yeah. I know I'm young, but you respect me like a father figure. Young mobbish, probably make your father figures. Sean Don Perrier out in Perry with a Perrier.
Welcome in. Happy Thursday. You were locked in with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580. Here for your entertainment news updates. You know, we got you on the headlines, the culture, all the tea from Hollywood to the hardwood. You're going to get it with me. Ooh, did I just rhyme? Oh, my God. So, look, tonight, we're going to get into so many things, but before we do, I got to shout out that Big Sean catch. You know, Andy, always on theme. And tonight, you know, that fits. Big Sean was talking about fame, and it is 313 Day. And shout out Detroit. Big D in the building. So give it up to them. But it is appropriate because we will be talking about fame tonight, along with, you know, it's Thursday, so we're about to get up all in the business on entertainment and sports. But fame is a drug. Fame is something that a lot of people are seeking. And recently, Denzel Washington talked with Deion Sanders and the Colorado football team about what it means to be famous and what that really does or doesn't do for you. And we're going to hear what he has to say and talk about that a bit. We're also going to get into Anthony Mackie's comments. He was recently on the Pivot podcast, and he talked about success. And he says we are lying to our children about success and what it is and how to get it. So we're going to get into his comments. And of course, you know, that fits because we're getting all up in the business on this Thursday with strategist, author, co-founder of SLAYYY Hair and owner of Glow and Flow Beauty, Damon Haley. We're going to be, you know, of course, giving it up to Junior Bridgman, who passed away earlier this week, and talk about his accomplishments in business. And we're also going to get into a little bit of the influencer community. And, you know, things are changing within that. We are moving beyond a time of just influencers back into what I like to call the tastemaker era. And so we're going to talk about the money-making opportunities that are out there and how that impacts business, because we know with the advent of social media and influencers, you know, marketing dollars and business has moved a little differently since that's been brought in. So, you know, settle down, get a drink, some snacks, and get ready for the scoop, the shade, the stories you got on your timeline. I'm going to get into it. But first, you know, I got to get a little conversation starter in there. So Amazon MGM is developing a biopic on Tiger Woods with Barack Obama and Michelle Obama's higher ground in talks to produce. And the film is based on the Kevin Cook book, The Tiger Slam, the inside story of the greatest golf player ever. And it will focus on Tiger's rise from childhood prodigy to golf legend. So, you know, I'm interested after King Richard, you know, maybe we'll see. We know Woods turned pro in 96, 15 major championships, 82 PGA Tour victories, etc. So legendary. Let's just also say a shout out to 50. He's announced that BMF is dropping June 6th, excuse me. Will it be ending, though, after the fourth season? We know 50 has been giving fever to Big Meech and Little Meech on social media. But, you know, it's already been recorded, so the show must go on. But as 50's relationship with stars is changing and he's evolving with his fast channel, we'll have to see what happens. What is the fate of BMF? Rick Ross was throwing shots at 50 recently, though, talking about where's the studio? What's the plan with that? You have all your cute little drawings, but nothing's moving forward. But if you recall, I mentioned that there were some tax credits that were not voted for in Louisiana that might have changed some of the trajectory of 50 Studios, but we'll have to see. Listen, when we come forward, we're going to get into Denzel's words about fame, Anthony Mackie's advice about success, plus more trending topics and headlines. You are locked in with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
Your ride with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now.
800-550-9651.
Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS.
Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start.
Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems.
We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau.
You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call
800-550-9651. That's 800-550-9651.
Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
1 in 3 children born today will get diabetes. This sad prediction by the Centers for Disease Control will come true if millions of Americans don't improve their lifestyles, especially by changing what they eat, how much they eat, and how active they are every day. Every 23 seconds, another American gets diabetes. Stop diabetes before it starts. To learn more, contact the American Diabetes Association or download our free diabetes education programs at learningaboutdiabetes.org.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. The Autopsy Initiative provides a second autopsy free of charge for victims' families who have lost their loved ones due to a police-related death. The services offered through the initiative include the completion of a second autopsy, disclosure of preliminary findings, and a final autopsy report. A police-related death is when an individual is harmed by police officers using deadly force, which results in an individual's death. Police-related death includes in-custody deaths, including those that arise during contact with law enforcement officers during arrest, pursuit, booking, transport, or incarceration. The Autopsy Initiative has a team of board-certified pathologists on call. An autopsy request may be completed by anyone with a close relationship with the victim, which may include the victim's spouse, partner, relative, close friend, or lawyer. To request a free second autopsy for a victim of police violence, please visit knowyourrightscamp.com. That's knowyourrightscamp.com. Then click on Autopsy, then click on Request. At KBLA, we believe in justice for victims of police violence. We say their names, and we don't black down. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Now back to more entertainment news with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
Welcome back in. It's Jill Munroe. You are locked into KBLA Talk 1580. Okay, so, of course, before we get into these stories, if at any point you want to join us, give us your feedback, 800-920-1580. Also, you can reach out on social media. We are everywhere, KBLA 1580. Me personally, I'm at Stiletto Jill. Holla at us. Hit us up. So, one thing I forgot to mention when we were talking about Detroit Day is that Eminem, he's looking to get into the sports business. He is in preliminary talks to join an ownership group that are aiming to bring a WNBA franchise back to Detroit. Now, I don't know if you remember back in the day when the WNBA first started, there was the Detroit Shock. And I can't remember where they ended up. Are they the Connecticut Sun now that ended up someplace else? Or did they just dispatch? I can't remember because the teams have moved around. But they were one of the original WNBA teams. So the league reportedly plans to add at least one more team. We've heard about the Toronto announcement. We know the Valkyries are in play for this season coming up. And there's also another group that has submitted a proposal. It contains names like Jared Goff, Grant Hill, and Chris Webber. So, you know, the competition's a little tough. There's other cities like Austin, Charlotte, Cleveland, Houston, which, you know, obviously the Comets and that history there. Kansas City, backed by Patrick Mahomes. So we'll have to see what comes of that. Now, your guy Denzel, recently No? Okay. So maybe not. I'll just talk about what Denzel said because something's not kosher with the clip and, it's okay. So Denzel spoke with the Colorado football team on the, connection from Deion Sanders. And what he shared with them is that, having longevity and reaching fame, it's not what you think. People turn on you. You have to continue to advance yourself. You have to continue to up your skill set and stay sharp and not pay attention to the wolves. He said that, hopefully all of these individuals that were listening to him have that in them to have longevity and lasting as far as things go. But I find it interesting that we're having a lot of conversation now about fame, what it really takes to get it, and what it means in the scope of, getting your just due as far as payment, accolades, and all of those different things. There's a documentary that I mentioned that's coming out, #1 on the call sheet. It's coming out on Apple TV Plus March 28th. And in it, it features all of, the top actors and actresses and so forth, discussing their careers, the things that they've had to do, some of, untold stories of things that happen behind the scenes. And it was put together by Jamie Foxx and Kevin Hart and a couple of others that, you are familiar with. And it has, like I said, all the top people: The Rock, Will Smith, Lawrence Fishburne, Samuel L. Jackson, all of our elders. And they talk about, the times when they can come together, when they can't. And so Denzel kind of alludes to these different things on your walk to fame. Now, Damon, we're getting all up in the Damon Haley, co-founder of SLAYYY Hair, Glow and Flow Beauty business strategist in the building for All in the Business Thursdays. Welcome back, Damon.
Hey, now, thanks for having me.
Of course. So I want to get your opinion on this because we equate fame so much with success, and we're going to hear what Anthony Mackie had to say about success coming up. But what are your thoughts about fame not really being much to stand on as it stands, especially in this day as we talk about building businesses and expanding out? And so many of business opportunities at this point, and we've talked about it, come to those that have fame.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, fame's different than fortune, right, as my wife would often say. You can be famous and be broke, for one. And success is different levels of success. So there's financial success, and then it's someone who starts out doing something they love, a craft such as acting or playing a sport or even an artist of any sort. And then all of a sudden, success is defined by how you measure against other people or how much money you make, et cetera, et cetera. But I do think it's easier to be famous, particularly in the world of social media. You can be famous for nothing. I mean, the Kardashians kind of got famous for no real talent other than, the original video. We know that. But everyone else is just famous. And they've been able to parlay greatly.
Do you realize it's almost been 20 years since the first episode of Keeping Up with the Kardashians first premiered?
They have been able to reinvent themselves, become more famous. But for the average person now, like somebody like Denzel, and I saw a little bit of it, and I love the way he availed himself. He's done the Othello scenario with Candy Burris and her husband and all that kind of stuff.
It set a record for the highest weekly gross for a Broadway play in its second week and raked in $2.8 million in just over 8 performances.
Huge. And so somebody like Denzel, who's been through the fire, we think that his life is great. And he's just sharing it really isn't. He talked about they'll rain on you, but you also when it rains, you got to deal with the mud.
Right.
That's what he said, And so I just think he was saying, hey, you guys might think that, my life is great, is grandiose, all that kind of stuff. But this road to being famous, this road to fortune isn't like perfect. And I think that's the big thing. I think that, to tell young people that everybody living has a hard life. It's just different levels of it. But being able to parlay fame into fortune and figure out what that equation is. But once you have fortune, you're not the underdog anymore. You're not like everybody else. So everybody's going to tear you down. They're going to figure out, they're going to nitpick, they're going to figure out what's wrong with you. And I think that's what Denzel was talking about. He was like, hey, I might be Denzel Washington, but I have feelings. I don't like my feelings hurt. Reporters, all that kind of stuff, people in the media tear me down. And I think that, like I said, we're seeing a lot more of that. Not the love for the talent, but just what's wrong with the talent. We see that a lot in media, debating.
Do you think it's just because there's more access to more voices and not so much that these aren't conversations that, good, bad, or indifferent always had, that so many people have a voice to speak out, and so we hear more about it?
Yeah, I think it's everybody with a voice and getting shock value. To like everything, you have to dig deeper and figure out, okay, why do you like that, and be ingenious. To not like everything, all you have to do is pick one reason not to like it. And it's just very easy for untalented people to do that, and people with a voice, and everybody wants to get on that bandwagon, So I just think that we are in a space where everybody has an opinion, and sometimes it's not right, and sometimes it's shock value. And that shock value still hurts people.
That's what Drake's saying. That's Drake's point. So this is kind of a bridge into Anthony Mackie, and we're kind of rolling them together because I feel like they're bookends and kind of ultimately lead us to our conversation around influencers. So Anthony Mackie, of course, he, stays booked and busy, but according to him, success isn't all about money and fame and your talent. Like I mentioned, he was on the Pivot podcast, and he said that we are lying to children, telling them that they can get successful by just working hard. He says what real success means in Hollywood is something different. So let's hear what he had to say.
I've been in the business 24 years, right? And I've seen people go from nothing to the biggest stars in the world. I've seen people go from one role to winning Academy Awards and doing all this shit. And what I realized yesterday thinking about it, we're lying to our kids, dog. And I think that's a big problem in our community. We tell our kids that and this is fresh on my heart, like I literally just came to this conclusion last night. We tell our kids if they do right and they make the good grades and they go to the programs and they will become successful. If you work hard enough, your work will be paid off. And that's not true. Success is given. It's not earned. Because you can be the most brilliant. If one person don't tap you, each one of y'all. There were people who could hit harder, who could catch better, who could run faster. But somebody said, you're the one. And the other 50 behind you fell off. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And because of that, I don't know what that emotion or that feeling is the scary thing. Because I went to all the programs. I've done Broadway. I've done off-Broadway. I've been in the business 24 years. I've been in 2 Academy Award films. I've done independent films. I've done major motion pictures. Now I'm Captain America. So now what?
So that he said a lot with that, and there's a lot of truth there. We talk about nepotism, and right now we're in an area where we're cheering for nepotism as it pertains to us, but a broader conversation, right, one for probably later on down the line, is nepotism in that regard, the way that we're cheering it, generally benefits those that are financially above the average person, right? So what he's saying is that there are a lot of people, which we know, that get placed in positions because of proximity. Proximity to, people that are in position to make those decisions, in position to, steer the views to something else. So we know that Anthony Mackie, like he said, he is Captain America right now, but he's had a long climb to kind of get to these points. And even being a part of a superhero franchise, is he still someone that on average people would say he's A-list, he's a big draw? Even, where other people that have minor parts in a Marvel film get that treatment. So I don't know, your thoughts about that? Because we're talking about influence and where influence is taking people in 2025. and the influencer.
I think he's right, and I think he's wrong. He's right in that, yes, in that business of Hollywood, somebody has to choose you. I've been in Hollywood, I think, closely with friends and my own household in terms of seeing how it works. And it is a choice. There is a certain level where you do have to level up in terms of talent. But then at that point, is somebody saying you versus you. That's a given. And there is a hypocrisy of meritocracy, meaning that you shouldn't. I don't like the fact that he said you can't tell the kids, because you have to tell a kid to work hard.
I agree with that. I disagree with that point, because you got to set that discipline and get that in them, because no matter what's happening on the outside, their work ethic is going to carry them through.
With regardless of what they have.
Exactly.
You know? So, but then you got to be a father, an uncle, a friend, whatever it is, to now tell you how the real world works. And you have to be chosen. That means you have to show up with your talent, skills, ability. But then you also have to think about, what do I need to do to get chosen? And how far will I go to get chosen?
But isn't that about like practice, 10,000 hours, things like that?
No.
No?
I'm talking about.
Oh, you're talking about.
I'm talking about
the favors.
After all of that stuff, you have to figure out who you need to be to get chosen in that moment.
Explain.
I have characters.
Okay.
I have characters
to fit the scenario and situation.
I don't show up like Damon or DH Baby everywhere I go.
I got you. And
so it gets me grounded to be able to deal with somebody so that you will choose me right now. I'm capable. I have the qualifications. I compete well against everybody else going for this spot. Now, what's going to make you comfortable?
Okay, the strategy, the key piece.
Right.
Like we used to talk about this, and I one thing I discovered when I worked at Nike that I didn't realize, like, you know, people like to work with their friends, but I didn't realize how important it was for people to work with their friends when you're dealing with outside agencies. And by that, I mean just for people to enjoy working with you. Even if you aren't necessarily the best in line for the job, if they enjoy working with you and envision that it will be an easier process overall and we can get it to what I want, they might pick this person as opposed to the person, some people, who has a better plan, but they view as unpleasant to get along with.
Yes, that happens all the time. Or just I want to work with my friends. I want to work with somebody who's aligned with my thinking.
Yeah.
I mean, I excused myself out of a free agency conversation with a media company because there was dialogue about fried chicken. And I said, and I was in charge, I said, I got to go to the men's room. And I stayed away from that conversation. And afterwards, the young dude in the room was like, "Why'd you leave? You missed it." I said, "I thought y'all could get further and farther in the conversation without me. So what'd y'all say? Okay, let's strategize," and boom, 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 boom. Because I needed the other people to have that conversation about fried chicken and red pop and the things, how we act, because it was around basketball free agency and media rights and things like that. Okay, so I didn't need to be scrunching my face up.
Right.
Instinctively, you know, that was some slick stuff he just said. I didn't need to be there because the head of the media company looked at me immediately. And that's when I said, I got to go to the bathroom. So I have to be these things. Like Dalton is one of the names that I use. Dalton with a U. Not D, not Damon, not DH, not Sweet Delight. All these things that people used to call me. Or Diaca Tesorda when I'm in Italy, right? Or DH Balbay when I'm in Shanghai. These types of things. You know, yeah, I mean, but it's to make people comfortable. Now, I'm not saying I'm going to compromise myself.
Right, but you read the room.
Right.
That's in short, you're reading the room.
And so that's what Anthony Mackie, I believe, said you have to be chosen. Because let's talk about Marvel. Who was the first dude? Terrence Howard.
Listen, when we come
and then it was Cheadle. And now Cheadle, they didn't elevate him with the Iron Man suit on, they elevated Mackie. So I'm curious, what did he do? And he said he got the realization last night, okay, what kind of day did you have yesterday to make you think like that?
Listen, when we come forward, we're going to get more into these trending topics and headlines, all the details, all the hype. You know how we do here. With Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580, news, traffic, and sports on the other side.
Got that bomb arrow, I be waiting for you. Yeah. Who you love? Tell me who you fucking love. Tell me who you wanna fucking love. I left that sexy dress out on the bed with a note there, laying for you. With directions where I'm waiting, with dinner and waiting for you. I'm the new. She tell me I'm the new. That's your even when you got it that you make love with.
You're in the know with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Amber Payton with 4 Things You Should Know with BIN News. A judge found the Trump administration unlawfully dismissed federal employees and ordered their reinstatement, rejecting the government's justification. He ruled the Office of Personnel Management lacked the power to enforce the directive. Black Texas Rep. Al Green's outburst during President Trump's speech resulted in a censor and now an election opponent. Analysts say he remains the front runner as defeating incumbents is difficult. Myra Guillen, sister of slain Army specialist Vanessa Guillen, has entered the race. Black New York City Mayor Eric Adams is naming 2025 Fire Prevention Year to mark a century of National Fire Prevention Week. The FDNY will target fire safety efforts on 100 high-risk areas. And Maryland Attorney General Anthony Brown is joining 20 states suing President Trump over plans to dismantle the Education Department. Brown, who is black, warns it will cut resources, harm students with disabilities, and widen education gaps. Get BIN News on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Gardena stall 405 southbound at Vermont. The right shoulder is where it's been pushed off to. Delays leaving Artesia Boulevard. Also, Westminster. Crash on the 405 northbound past Golden West. They're clearing it out of the left lane. Overall slowing. Getting away from Fairview out of Costa Mesa. And into South LA is another stall, 105 westbound before the 110. That's where the left lane is blocked. That's going to be a crowded drive approaching.
The CONCACAF Nations League finals arrive at SoFi Stadium March 20th through the 23rd. USA versus Panama, followed by Canada versus Mexico. Get your tickets now on Ticketmaster. For more information, visit CONCACAFNationsLeague.com/tickets.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The attacks on diversity spending around the country is not affecting HBCU sports. Amazon signed a 4-year agreement to sponsor the Magic City Classic football game in Birmingham, a showcase event featuring Alabama State versus Alabama A&M. The game is regarded as the biggest HBCU football matchup in the country. Over 60,000 fans showed up for last year's game. The game generates more than $25 million for the local economy. Over the next 4 years, the game will be called the Amazon Magic City Classic. Amazon's exclusive involvement guarantees Alabama State and Alabama A&M at least $1.15 million over the next 4 years. This year's Magic City Classic is scheduled for October 25th at the historic Legion Field, the same stadium where USC beat an all-white University of Alabama team in 1970 with an all-black backfield. If you're going to the Magic City Classic, you will feel the history. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
Hey, this is Zoe Williams, the voice of reason, and for over 20 years, Parkside Economic Development Corporation has served Leimert Park and surrounding communities, empowering tomorrow's leaders and changing lives. Parkside EDC has awarded over $400,000 in college scholarships while sharing economic principles of the Big Five of money with students and their families. Parkside EDC partners with organizations like the Brotherhood Crusade to assure our youth have the financial acumen to succeed. Parkside EDC provides families and businesses with financial insights, offering free online, on-site, and on-air B-Warp presentations. The Black Wealth Attainment and Retention Programs helps our community acquire, sustain, and pass down legacy wealth. High school seniors can apply for this year's scholarship awards at parksideedc.org. Scholarships will be awarded at Parkside EDC's Gospel/Jazz Brunch on Sunday, April the 27th. For details, tickets, or donations, please visit parksideedc.org. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Looking for a purposeful and passionate way to make a difference in your community? Volunteer with our Senior Medicare Patrol and help prevent Medicare fraud. SMP volunteers work in their community educating peers about healthcare fraud and how to prevent and detect it. Free training starts soon. Check us out online or at an SMP open house near you. We're on a mission to stop fraud. Join our team. You make a difference. Visit caspvolunteer.org. Protect yourself from Medicare card scams. Scammers may call, email, or even knock on your door claiming they need your Medicare info, asking for money or threatening to cancel your benefits. Don't fall for it. It's a scam. Remember, Medicare doesn't need to verify your information. They already have it. Medicare won't charge you for a new card and will never threaten to cancel benefits. Check your Medicare statements for suspicious charges and report scams to the California Senior Medicare Patrol at 1-855-613-7080. We're here to help.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Imagine a Los Angeles where everyone can thrive, where communities have access to the resources they need to succeed. That's the vision of Detours Mentoring Group, Inc. They're dedicated to improving life in LA County by providing educational support, employment assistance, and spaces for community engagement. By 2050, they want LA to be the best place to connect, create, learn, live, and play. They're working toward an education system that's well-resourced and culturally responsive, becoming a hub for artists and innovators, and making sure everyone has access to healthy food, quality healthcare, and safe housing. It's about building a future where we all have the chance to succeed. We invite you to learn more about their mission and get involved with Detours Mentoring Group, Inc. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
You're listening to Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
The success took a shot at him. What are you gonna do now? How are you gonna kill him? You gonna make him unsuccessful? Frank, we can be successful in our enemies. Be unsuccessful too. We can have friends.
I got this, Breezy. Don't worry about it. Let that breathe. I used to give a now I give a less. What do I think of success? It sucks, too much stress. I guess I blew up quick, cause friends I grew up with see me as a preemie, but I'm not, and my big. I don't know what the fuss is, my career's illustrious, my rep is impeccable. I'm not to be with. Let that breathe.
Welcome back in. You are locked in with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580. You know, we're talking about success, fame, winning, all of it, breaking it down tonight with me in your front row seat to the culture. That's what this show is. Of course, I'm not alone. I'm joined by business strategist, author, entrepreneur, Damon Haley in the building.
Hey now.
So listen, before we're still talking about success, we're just going to move topics a little bit. I forgot to mention this to you. So Kai Cenat, you know, he's a popular streamer. He had a deal with Nike, right? And they came out and announced that they are dropping him today because of a 16-second clip that was on his stream. Apparently, there was an underage streamer that he was on there with. These are young boys. Young boys horse around. They have horseplay. They play games. And apparently, Kai, the young guy, was in the restroom. And Kai, for whatever reason, knocked on the door, was like, I want to talk to you, busted in, put the camera on him, and exposed this kid for some seconds on his stream. So people started complaining. They started asking, did Nike really want to be in business with that type of person and what it meant? And so Nike came out and said that they were cutting ties with the relationship, right? And so I bring this up One, because it's news, but two, because we're talking about, well, our next topic is influencers and getting the bag at Fashion Week. I mentioned the other day, Kaiser Gonzadrik. Is that right, Andy? I always jack up her last name. Gondrizik, okay, former WNBA player, used to date Jaylen Brown. She walked in Fashion Week last week. She has some things dropping. We've seen like Molly Ringwald, old school actress. We've seen various influencers involved, and we've seen how quickly these things can turn. For example, Nike was all in with Kai, and now they're dropping him and moving on. Is there a true bag in fashion for influencers moving forward? And are these businesses still taking the same approach? Because although, like, you know, same type of thing happened with rappers when they became in vogue as far as walking on the runways and being involved in these campaigns. Their lyrics sometimes were questioned, but it was edgy and it was, you know, kind of a different time in the cultural sort of, ethos? I don't know. And now with the influx of influencers and all of that and sell, how do you think those balance out?
Well, you hot until you're not, to be honest. I mean, what happened to the young dude with the streaming scenario? It's just young people being young. Once again, technology allows you to be everywhere and anywhere. That would not have happened 20 years ago. Just some horseplay.
Right.
It just wouldn't have happened. So I think that, and there's no more cuddling. There's no more forgiving. Like, he's young. Give him a second chance. But no, once everybody says he's perfect, he's on top of the mountain, let's tear him down, that's where brands are saying, yeah, us too. It used to be where brands, particularly Nike, was a little more forgiving, at least with young people being young. But these days, it's not happening.
Let me ask you a question, because, you know, when we were at Nike, they were not into giving deals or making these type of partnerships for an actual shoe deal or a product deal with people that weren't athletes.
Mm-hmm.
And they continued that, and we know that that ruined a potential relationship with Pharrell back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
We know that was part of the problem with Kanye and the Yeezy, and they sort of reversed course because the market is saying, this is what you need to do. Is this more fodder to them for why they shouldn't get involved in that? Or does it just kind of change the focus or how they get into bed with these type of people?
Yeah, it'll change the focus. You have to get involved with mainstream culture. You have to get involved with music because athletes aren't moving the needle like they used to. They're safe, and you have all this performance gear, but then you just have regular walk-around shoes, cotton, hoodies, all of that. Well, it's the artists, it's the hot people, it's the influencers that drive that. So they'll just change how they engage them. I mean, all of that code of conduct and all that kind of stuff will be tightened up, but there'll be somebody else. They'll replace somebody tomorrow, if not next week, and it'll be an influencer, it'll be an artist, etc. It won't be an athlete. Those are harder to come across.
It's interesting. Do you think that, so, I mean, we've seen the back and forth with, you know, the white influencer versus the black influencer and how, you know, ideas, concepts, whatever are stolen. We've seen that sort of take place forever in the back and forth between who's out in front for which brand and so forth. Do you think that with the change overall, those type of things will still be in competition, or will it really be more about wherever the crowd blows?
Well, it'll be wherever the crowd goes, but the crowd is going to like, and the decision makers are going to like, white stars over black stars. That's just the way it is. Cooper Kupp, the guys at Duke, he's the next Larry Bird. Business is good when you have a Larry Bird. It's
or
good.
A Caitlyn Jenner.
Or a
not
Caitlyn
Jenner.
Clark.
Caitlyn Clark.
Caitlyn Jenner too. but that's just the way it is because they're the majority. It's just a lot of, and they making all the decisions, and the people that are doing great and who we love look like their sister, their niece, their daughter. It's just kind of like the way it is, unless we have anomalies like a Tiger in a golf, or a Serena and Venus in a tennis. But when you talk about this mainstream stuff in terms of sports, team sports, or you talk about just fashion and being able to push more T-shirts, more hoodies, more walk-around stuff, you're going to want somebody that people...
The influencer they tap in with.
That taps in bigger and larger. Like, I know, like the D'Amelios in dancing.
Yep.
Yeah.
Very true. Let me get to some of these comments in the chat.
Commenting?
Urban Spencer says, there are so many mediocre people being hired by their friends. That is a good point. Sometimes it is, but that is nepotism, the bonus of friendship, right? Let's see. Maurice Geese is bringing us some news. Rest in peace to 5-star member Stedman Pearson. Let me be the one. That was my jam. Stedman was one of the brothers in that group. No, it was Doris, I think. I can't remember all their names.
The British group, right?
Yeah, the British group. They came out in like 85. They remade a New Edition song at that time period too. Morris Phillips says African Americans represent nearly $2 trillion in commercial activities. We do. But we also over-index on entertainment, music, and all of those things. So people don't jump for us in that regard the way that they might others, because they feel like we're going to meet them there regardless.
Yeah, we're going to spend.
And that's just, kind of the thought process when it comes to us. So the way that they allocate dollars and how they do is a little different, because they know we're going to be there regardless, or they believe it to be true. Mm-hmm. When we come forward, we're going to get into more with Damon Haley, more trending topics, more headlines. You're locked in with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
Your ride with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
This is the story of the one. He's responsible for keeping a leading healthcare facility clean and safe. And he trusts Grainger's high-quality HVAC cleaning and safety products, combined with their world-class supply chain, to consistently deliver, ensuring he's covered inside and out, so he can focus on keeping his facility clean to help protect the health of everyone inside. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
During tax season, your info travels lots of places you can't control.
W-2 arriving from payroll platform 3.
Everything criminals need to steal your identity is on your W-2.
Last call for accountant and home office, 1 minute.
LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points per second.
Tax preparation data centers with service to IRS. All aboard.
If your identity is stolen, we'll fix it guaranteed, or your money back. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code NEWS. Visit LifeLock.com. Terms apply.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm. If you own a timeshare, don't miss this public service announcement from Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group.
If you receive an unsolicited phone call or mail piece to discuss selling, renting, or especially canceling your timeshare, don't fall for it. If you really want out of your timeshare, hang the phone up immediately or throw that mail piece in the trash and contact your timeshare resort or Wesley Financial Group for assistance with your timeshare. As the only Inc. 500 timeshare cancellation company, our knowledge, experience, and results has made Wesley a trusted resource for over 40,000 families we've helped get out of their timeshare. Give us a call, and I'll send you our timeshare exit information kit free with the straight facts about your timeshare and all of your options for cancellation.
Call for your free info kit, 800-511-2112. That's 800-511-2112. 800-511-2112.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 reminds you that we keep us safe. The Live Your Life organization mentors young women, helping them break negative mindsets and see beyond their surroundings. Through career exposure and hands-on training, they're encouraged to think big, stay focused, and make positive choices. Founded by Nikisha Mama Boo Smith, who transformed her life to become a community leader. Live Your Life is changing lives, but they need your help. They're raising funds to keep their new building open and expand their programs. Your donations will support food, clothes, hygiene products, and holiday giveaways. Visit LiveYourLife32.com. That's LiveYourLife32.com to help today. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
You're listening to Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
Welcome back in. You are locked in with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. We are in conversation and all up in your, not all up in your business, all up in the business Thursdays with Damon Haley, strategist, business entrepreneur, author, all of the things. Now, earlier this week, we were shocked to find out the sudden death of former NBA star, business icon, Junior Bridgman. And so we wanted to take a moment just to talk about his career, not so much his NBA career, because as I mentioned, he wasn't in the league when the dollars were balling. He wasn't the type of player that was, you know, the top of the list. He wasn't the anchor. No disrespect in that. But you know what I mean? He was a guy. And so where he really made his impact was post-career and in the business world. And so I think his story is important. I think what he did, the fact that he mentored those behind him. You know, Magic is my favorite player, and I often talk about Magic's mentorship as far as business goes with others. But Junior was right there with him, and it's not talked about a lot. So, Damon, I will turn it over to you.
Well, little known fact, Junior Bridgman was drafted by the Lakers.
And he was traded for Kareem, right?
And he was part of the Kareem trade, yeah. So he is a local
and
dude.
He played for the Clippers.
And he played for the Clippers. So he got some L.A. roots here. But I believe on the court he only made about $2.5 million. But when he was in Milwaukee, he was a sixth man. He was known as a six-man specialist, kind of. So that's the level of play he was. And I think he only made about $2.5 million, which might be worth, I don't know, $12, $15 million nowadays. But he was smart enough in Milwaukee to get into the Wendy's franchise. And so since he was a player, they said, okay, we'll let you do them in urban communities. Kind of like how Magic was, you know.
With the Starbucks.
Yeah, all that kind of stuff. So, but he just started he was successful, one, as a businessman, and knew how to run those particular neighborhoods, those communities. And it went from Wendy's. He was the largest single owner of Wendy's franchises. And then he spilled into Chili's, because once you're successful with one, somebody will say, well, long as it doesn't compete, could you help us with this? And so he became that guy. And so he has an entire tree of people that he has under him. And then there's another guy, Jamal Mashburn, that took the baton and became that guy. Shaq, talking to him, has tons of franchises. Obviously, Irv Magic's talked to him as well. So he's helped a lot of people. And so everybody, he is very, very well beloved. And I'm selfish in that I thought finally this year I'd get to his Kentucky Derby, because he's a Louisville dude. He's a Kentucky dude.
Okay.
I thought finally I'd get to his Kentucky Derby party, which he does the most magnificent Kentucky Derby party, bar none, other than the governor. Okay. And he's so benevolent with his kindness and all that kind of stuff. And I've heard Jordan talk about him. Like that's where Jordan, MJ, gets some of his cues. So he's been a great philanthropist. He's been a great businessman. He's been a mentor. And also, people don't know, he bought Ebony and Jet.
That we talked about. I did know that because in the media, and his daughter is the CEO. The thing about this, and what I mentioned, is the photo archive of Ebony and Jet alone is worth so much. Not just monetarily, but the history, what the stories that it contains. And I'm talking photojournalism and so forth, what it can be used for in as far as commercials, movies later. There's so many different things that you can utilize with a photo archive like that. And, you know, the magazines obviously are classic. And to save what is was considered the pinnacle of black journalism for many households for decades and decades. You know, whose mama didn't have the big Ebony before they went down to the normal magazine size, when they used to be like, 2 feet almost. I'm joking, but it was big.
And page 43 of the Jet magazine.
The Jet Beauty of the Week.
Yeah, that's page 43.
I wanted to be a Jet Beauty of the Week so bad.
Macklemore, shout out, But and he only bought it for $14 million.
Right.
And when I say only, it's not like I'd have that in
relative,
my pocket.
But realistically, it should have been worth more for the Johnson family.
Well, hey, it is. We know it's worth more. The archival, and once again, He's going to preserve it. I'm sure his daughter, and I haven't met her. I shook her hand once, but she didn't tell me her name, and I forgot to tell her mine. But I shook her hand once, and she's going to preserve that, and it's in great hands. And it just shows, once again, he saw that of value to us and said, hey, I'm going to make it happen. If you think about a franchise and you think we're NBA guys or anybody that wants to pool their money, group economics can attain a franchise. And that's what he enabled and unlocked with normal people to say, hey, I don't want it all. I'm going to share this formula. And so he like I said, we don't need to talk about him. And he just made the billionaire list. So that's in and of itself. It means nothing to be a billionaire if you can't enjoy it. He's only 71, And so I would just say he was a philanthropist. He was a great mentor. He was a beautiful man.
Thank you for that. I mean, again, his story was so inspiring, what he was able to do, and the fact that he, kept a relatively low profile, right? In an era where, when we think about contrast, not comparing, just looking at it, someone like Magic, part of the appeal, I would imagine, some of the people that got in business with Magic is his outsized personality and his shine and his smile. So with Junior, you're getting a different type of personality, And so I find his story fascinating. I find the path that he blazed to be incredible. And the fact that, like you said, it is something that you don't have to have been an NBA star or, an Oscar-winning actress or actor in order to obtain wealth in the manner with which he did.
You don't have to be chosen,
right?
For that level of success.
To go back to our to tie it all together.
You do not have to be chosen to be a Junior Bridgen, but you have to be chosen to be a Irv, to be a Magic.
Right.
You do, and so that's why I say I agree that sometimes it's the choosing and sometimes it's not. But he wasn't. They said, hey, let's do business together. And he took off. So, yeah, I think that you're right about that.
So, as we're getting ready to wrap up here, Damon Haley, DH, is there anything you want to add, Drop?
No, you can find me at Damon Haley on IG. That's one I check every day. And visit us at Glow and Flow Beauty in Inglewood and Hawthorne. Follow my wife, Diane Valentine. She's doing some interesting things. She's getting a lot of shine these days. And reach out.
Follow Diane Valentine just for the style tips and fabulousness. I tell Diane all the time that, I need to have something amazing happen in my life and the money to go along with it so that she can put together an event for me, possibly. Like, that's not her main thing anymore. She only does it for very, very, very special, high-profile people, and it costs a lot of money to get Diane Valentine to do some things for you. But I would like that type of experience and the money to go along with it so I can pay her and do all of that. So, yeah.
Well, my pledge to people in honor of Junior Bridgman and success and things like that, be all up in your business.
Yeah.
Be all up in your business about how you and how we do business.
Be curious, research, read things, learn about businesses, learn about people that you like, learn about products that you like, because you never know where it can take you. Well, listen, it is Thursday. I want to thank everyone for locking in. I am here Monday through Friday, 6 to 7 p.m., hitting you off with these trending topics and headlines. Make sure you are back here tomorrow for all the goodness. I'm your front row seat to the culture. I will check you guys out tomorrow. Up next, the voice of reason, of course, Zoe Williams.
Switch, you're not too bright. Good night, long kiss, bye bye. My reply, blah blah, blast then pass the ta-ta. Finish my breakfast. Why? I got an appetite for destruction, and you're a small fry. Now where was I? Let that breathe. I used to give it, now I don't give it more. Truth be told, I had more fun when I was pissed poor, I'm pissed off. This is success all about a bunch of acting like with big mouths. All this stress, all I got is this big house. Couple cars, I don't bring half of them out. All the say spade, I drink just to out. I like the taste, could've saved myself 6 hours. How many times can I go to Mr. Child's towels? No boo, hold up, let me move my bowels.